Thank you very much. I'm really excited to be here today, and I'd like to thank SUMA for the invitation and the opportunity to speak with you today. So with my presentation today, I have really two objectives. The first one is to inspire you through some innovative example and success stories. And the second one is to provide you with the tools and the knowledge about the Green Municipal Fund offer that will allow you to write your very own success story. So here's the menu for today's presentation. So we'll quickly go through some key definitions, then the inspiring part of the presentation, so those really sparking example that I hope will trigger some thoughts on your part, how to overcome some of the challenges, and then the funding and the large product that are offered through GMF, or the Green Municipal Fund. And I've left quite a bit of time also for question and answer, which I hope is going to be a lively discussion between us. Let's start with the very first definition. So the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, or FCM. We are the national voice of municipalities across Canada since 1901. We have over 2,000 members, which represent close to 90% of the Canadian population. We represent the interest of municipalities on policy and program matters that fall within the federal jurisdiction. Our members include Canada's largest cities, from small urban and rural communities across the country, as well as 19 territorial and provincial municipal associations. We're really proud of the results that we get for our members. For example, as part of the latest 2015 budgets, as requested by FCM, the budget introduces a new significant source of permanent funding for public transit projects. As recommended by FCM, the investment of $1.7 billion annually in public housing system has been maintained, and the budget also includes an important commitment to establish a public safety broadband network. This is a major development that will help local first respondent access critical communication tool and have a positive impact on communities from across the country. More specifically, my colleague and I work as part of the Green Municipal Fund. So it's an endowment that was created in the year 2000 through the Government of Canada, and it endowed the FCM with $500 million to establish the Green Municipal Fund. So that fund is being managed in a sustainable manner since roughly 15 years at this point. So it allows us to provide grants and loan on an annual basis in 5 key sectors of our activities: the brownfield, energy, or brownfield or contaminated sites, I should say, energy and water performance initiative, transportation, and waste reduction. Now, the next video I'm about to show you will provide you with a very good overview of the Green Municipal Fund mandate, the type of activities we do, and the impact it has on municipalities from coast to coast. I hope you'll enjoy the short video.
You are here. You're facing some real challenges: financing, policy constraints, and public demands. You need ideas for creative solutions that can help you move your project from vision to reality. Your needs are real, and they're centered on building a more sustainable future for your community, attracting investment and talent. You have a clear view of where you need to go, but you know it's going to take real effort, skill, and perhaps even a bit of luck to get there. We're the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, and our Green Municipal Fund is a unique program that supports the groundbreaking work of leaders who are driving change in their communities. And if that sounds like you, keep watching. At GMF, we are here to help municipalities and their partners on the ground. Here's how we do it. First, we inspire new thinking by sharing the best in green solutions, all proven through the practical experiences of your peers. Second, we're committed to connecting you to other leaders in the field because we know it will support your current thinking and ideas and generate new ones. Third, we can help you with the tools, practical training, and grants you need to build a strong case for local sustainability. And we can help you by providing much-needed financing for leading-edge projects. Back to your view of the path that lies ahead. The Green Municipal Fund is your partner in sustainability, offering you the tools and resources that can help you move your project forward in areas as diverse as brownfields, energy performance, water performance, and waste reduction. And by the way, this program is not just aimed at major municipalities. We know that innovation comes from leaders in cities and towns of all sizes, each with their own unique needs and challenges. Drawing upon the results and lessons learned from over 1,000 initiatives funded for the past 15 years, the Green Municipal Fund is all about you, local leaders who are setting new standards for greener communities and building momentum for sustainability in Canada. When all is said and done, it is your contributions that create the lessons of success that can help us build a stronger, more sustainable Canada. The Green Municipal Fund, working with you every step of the way.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Now, for the time that we have together today, my job will be to provide you with the tools and the information that I hope will empower you to dream big and turn those dreams into reality for your respective communities. As elected officials and managers, you have numerous responsibilities that must be fulfilled and stakeholder demand that must be addressed, all the while respecting established budgets. Of course, we would all like to do the right thing and reduce our environmental impact, but first, there are imperatives and non-negotiable that must be addressed. The following slide will highlight some very innovative projects that responded to clear municipal imperatives. I hope that following those examples, you'll agree with me that green initiative can be achieved, leave a lasting legacy, and have really interesting economic return. So now imagine a project that delivers on all the following. So GMF Funding of the Capus Casing project, wastewater treatment facility, is a great example of the triple bottom line that comes from GMF funded project. In 2011, the Federation of Canadian Municipalities provided $2.5 million to that $7.5 million treatment facility upgrade project. The project is expected to yield $19.4 million in economic benefit through the reduction in cost of the management of the biosolid, the increased property values, as well as the increase in the recreational opportunities that come with that new treatment plan. So those economic benefit will occur over the 20-year lifespan of that new treatment plant that's being built. The upgrade to the wastewater treatment system improved the water quality, and as a result, now more people now enjoy the river than ever before. Those increased recreational opportunities are valued at $1.6 million. And a great example of that is illustrated through the picture here at the latest fishing derby in Capus Casing. There were more than 100 boats that made it to that particular event. When you think about such a small community, the economic impact are really quite significant. The increase in property value is valued at $11.5 million, and the biosolid disposal cost saving are valued at $4 million. So when we're talking about the scale of a community like that and the overall investment, we're talking about really significant economic benefit. Initiatives such as these really demonstrate how Green Municipal Fund funded projects have a significant impact on the local economy. Now, how about a second imagining exercise? Again, at the same speed and scale. So the project example I have for you is Icon Fox redevelopment in Edmonton, and that really demonstrates the economic impact of environmental project. So the Green Municipal Fund contributed to that multi-phase project to remediate and redevelop a former automotive garage and service facility. The project was a partnership between the City of Edmonton and Icon Fox Redevelopment, and it involved the remediation followed by the redevelopment of high-rise towers on a 3,500 square meter site that was perfect for urban densification. This particular residential commercial project will provide millions of dollars in tax revenue for the City of Edmonton. Much more than would have come from the previous land use when we're talking about that service and automotive facility that was found on the site. For example, once the high-rise towers are completed, the first one is already completed and the second one is currently in building, it will create 4 acres of taxable property on a site that's 0.38 acres in size. So we're talking about a 10-time multiplier. So that's a really significant impact. And the overall project value of that development is worth $150 million. Now, I know you're growing fond of those, so let's go for another one. So I do have an example of a project that delivered on all of those particular benefits right there. So the example is a stormwater management project in Granby in the province of Quebec. So that particular neighborhood was plagued with sewer backflow, and the usual solution is to build bigger volume and capacity and underlying piping, I guess. But the city wanted to find a more innovative solution to their problem, so they decided to tackle it with the three following approaches. They decided to reduce the width of the road from 12 to 7 meters, and therefore decrease the quantity of impermeable surface that they had to deal with. They also decided to install underground retention ponds. as well as installing water purifying plants along the side of the road. Now, you'll have to take my word for it. The picture on the right-hand side was taken in the fall or the spring prior to the vegetation being there, but now it's quite green and quite functional and really pretty. So these techniques allow to prevent the complete overhaul of a functioning system while being able to handle the 24 typical rain hour event. Thanks to the space that was saved, as I mentioned previously, the road's width was decreased. The city was able to build sidewalks as well as cycling bike path on the side of the road, so therefore increasing active transportation within that particular neighborhood. These approaches are sometimes put in place in new development. However, in this particular example, we're talking about an existing neighborhood. So the application of those innovative techniques in an existing neighborhood was a very first in the province of Quebec and potentially even across the whole of Canada. It also demonstrates that a recurring problem can be addressed to an ecological solution without having to overhaul part of your system that are still functional. Obviously, this type of project can be replicated for other neighborhoods within that particular city or within any municipalities across the country. And I might have even have kept the best part for last, depending on your perspective. But this particular project allowed to save $1 million out of a $3.8 million project. So we're talking about really substantial saving in terms of doing things differently and having ecological as well as economic gains out of it. Now, all good things must come to an end, so this is the very last Imagine exercise I have for you now. The very last project I kept for you is a very big one and a very exciting one. It's a $136 million project that will increase Edmonton's waste diversion rate to 90%. It's a waste-to-energy approach. It would also help Alberta domestically meet its mandate for ethanol fuel in the transportation gasoline pool. GMF participated in this project's syndicated loan by serving as a co-lender in this particular project. So how does it actually work? Well, there's various waste feedstock that come into play. So we're talking about mixed textile, plastics, fibers, as well as other form of biomass feedstock, such as construction and demolition wood, which in turns are turned into chemical grade syngas. That syngas is then transformed into biofuels and chemicals that is used back into the city. NRCam has also signed a 25-year deal to operate and build a plant on municipal land. So in the end, that particular project transform what was operational cost for the city, landfilling of all those waste stream, and obviously an expensive operation in terms of the landfilling and collection of those material into a profit-generating enterprise and benefiting the overall city. At the same time, creating fantastic investment on that particular property and high-paying jobs. So those were the really innovative project I wanted to discuss with you. And now I want to discuss about the knowledge product and the financing that will help you do similar initiative or address some of your municipal concern within your constituency. So how can the Green Municipal Fund be an ally on your projects? We inspire our members and Canadian municipalities by providing lessons learned as well as best practices and the type of example I've just provided to you in terms of the project that were completed. But we also provide a lot of case studies. So those case studies are available for ongoing and completed project, and they really allow the municipality to build their business case. It's all great and good to say that we should reduce our environmental footprints, but until you have those hard, tangible number, it's a harder sell. So those case studies really provide the triple bottom line approach and those benefits. So the environmental, the social, and economic benefit that comes from a proposed initiative or completed initiative in that case. We also celebrate municipal success through the FCM Sustainable Community Awards. Those are awarded on an annual basis at the Sustainable Community Conference that's coming up very shortly. I have a bit more information about that event a little bit later on in the presentation. At the SCC, or the Sustainable Conference next week, we will showcase the winner of the Sustainable Community Conference, and the prairies will be well represented with the village of Marwayne in Alberta. They will receive the Community Award for the Neighborhood Development Project that's called Center Street Revitalization from the Bottom Up. In a nutshell, the village of Marwayne was stuck with a failing water system in a faltering downtown. So they needed to rip up the street and repair that older infrastructure, but they decided to aim much higher. And they did a visioning and planning exercise to revitalize, I'm sorry, I'm mispronouncing that, it's my French accent there, but to bring back to life their downtown. And so now Center Street has become a draw for crowd and a boon for business. So they did much more than just replacing their failing infrastructures in the end. I also wanted to share with you other winners in the prairies that have won Sustainability Community Awards in the past, especially the town of Yorkton here in Saskatchewan, and that has won in 2013 in the water category, and the rural municipality of Richmond in Manitoba that won in the energy category in 2012. So the next two slides contain specific videos where you'll physically see the infrastructures and hear about the municipal practitioner that worked on those projects, but I want to provide a bit of background on those before showing you those videos. So Yorktown again had an aging water system that consisted of 4 unconnected treatment plants that drew on 14 wells scattered across the whole city. They were also faced with a rapidly growing population, and so they needed a high-performing treatment facility to accommodate that population boom. To add to the complexity of the project, the site was also located on an environmentally sensitive zone, given the fact that there was a shallow aquifer found underneath most of the site. So the city decided to build an advanced water filtration system that incorporated a very innovative approach that treated the backwash. So the backwash is the water that is used for cleaning the filters of the treatment plant. The water purifies the backwash in wetland settling ponds, which are then fed back into the aquifer, which the city can use for their purposes later on. This cost-effective and environmentally responsible system now delivers 22 million liters of water on a daily basis, and is expected to meet the city's need for the next 25 years. The project also ended up creating a fantastic location in Logan Green. It's a natural park preserve that now contains stream, fishing pond, walking trails, as well as 6 new sports facilities or sports fields. All of those have been built with the soil from the actual treatment plants. That particular project also benefited from GMF funding. So here's the short video about that particular project.
The city of Yorkton was looking at a project we needed basically to look after our water needs for the next 25 years. And in going through this project, staff came up with the idea of the backwash water and what do we do with it?
Normally our backwash water would be put into the sewage system and it would be pumped out to the wastewater treatment plant, where it would have to be treated with the rest of the sewage that comes from the city.
Over the life of the project, we're expecting to save about $6.3 million by going green. And that basically is because we don't have to create a lift station to pump water back to our treatment plant. We're going to use that water to irrigate soccer fields, to have a pond. Essentially, we'll have ducks and fish in the pond. And it saved us money, millions of dollars over the life of the project.
We normally produce about 1,100 cubic meters of backwash water a day. So basically the heavy minerals fall out into the settling pond, and then it goes into a discharge area, into a stream, and then eventually ends up in a pond that we hope to stock with fish in the spring.
We knew that with the amount of growth that the city was seeing, that our existing 4 water treatment plants were antiquated, we needed replacement, and we had to come up with some ideas. One of the ideas was centrally locating the water treatment plant in one location. With that, we knew that we had to also deal with our backwash water.
They came up with an approach where the backwash water would actually be used.
The existing area where we sit today is environmentally sensitive. We did have walking paths, and it was used as a park setting. So we wanted to design it, but yet still have the community's approval and stakeholders' approval.
We had 400 people coming out to a water plant opening. I think that speaks volumes about the project and the excitement it's generated.
The second project I wanted to discuss with you is the winner in the energy category in 2012 from the municipality of Richmond in Manitoba. So they wanted to construct an energy efficient, friendly community center to meet the need of their residents. It all started when the town of Ile-des-Chênes wanted to replace the ice plant in its hockey rink. And they wanted to replace it with a geothermal system and realized that the costs were really, really high. So the solution they came up with is that they teamed up with another project. They designed a bigger system and decided to go for more funding. And the result was Manitoba's very first district energy geothermal heating and cooling system that now connects the arena, the fire hall, as well as the community center. The community center now uses 60% less energy than it was in the past, and the energy costs for the rink have decreased by 40% as a result of that particular project. The community center also has been built to last for 75 years and now has a dual purposes as a post-disaster relief center as well. The project also created new jobs, new services, and a gathering place for the community's residents. This initiative really is an astounding success, especially when you consider that the population of that particular municipality was 5,000 people. So this is the short video that will provide you with some visual and some testimonies from the people in town.
Reshot includes 3 communities, the Ile-des-Chênes, which are in right now, St. Adolphe, and St. Agathe. An historic sort of settlements along the river south of Winnipeg. Population of a little over 5,000. Most of our citizens are from French families. They've become bedroom communities.
Our community has been involved from the beginning with a vision plan that truly articulated our needs and the services that the community will want to have available over time.
The community center was the first idea, and then we said, well, we're going as a LEED silver building, which is energy efficient. If we included the geothermal in there, we realized a 60.2% saving of energy. And we need at least 60% to qualify for the Green Municipal Fund. The province of Manitoba was really advanced as compared to other provinces when it comes to geothermal. And it turned out that if we did the community center, there was an extra grant from them. And when we look at the cost for doing the geo and the fire hall, it was a little less than what the grant would have been.
The Ile-des-Chênes project is a very complex geothermal installation. It's a district system which incorporates 3 buildings, an arena, ice plant, bleacher heat, Zamboni floor heat. Every component is quite complex, including the community center, the fresh air makeup air, and also all the fridges and also ice machines are tied into that system also.
This building is new and it's large, and it's not only does it have this community hall space, but it's going to have a daycare, and it's going to have a room for a doctor and a pharmacy perhaps, and a few other things like that.
Si tu peux offrir tes services à ta communauté grandit.
If you can offer needed services to your community grows. People will want to be a part of it. So for the planet, it will reduce greenhouse gas emissions. It will save on gas.
Ça va économiser sur l'essence, ça va économiser également sur les dépenses.
It will also save on costs because the cost to rent a location of this scale for a social event is certainly more expensive in downtown Winnipeg than it is here in Ile-des-Chênes. Plus, it allows us to provide bilingual services in the community.
Geothermal is not just forced air. So we can give a zone down on the daycare where the young kids are playing and also want to have nap time. The floor is heated.
We realized a $15,000 saving in utilities. We used to have 4 gas furnaces in here. Now it's all 4 heat pumps. In the community center, there's no gas whatsoever. It's all electricity, including our commercial kitchen.
This system operates at 550% efficiency, and that's where the true savings are.
I think it's just the beginning of a lot of very good projects that might benefit this community and the environment and the population in a very significant way.
I hope you enjoyed those project examples and that they get your juices flowing and you have some ideas for your given communities. So other value-added activities that we do as part of the Green Municipal Fund is connecting you with peers across the country. For example, we have numerous networking opportunities, and some of them I'll discuss a little bit later on within the presentation, but some of them come from the personalized support that we provide through the Green Municipal Fund. So when people call us about particular ideas or initiative or project they have in mind, then we'll automatically think of other municipalities that have faced similar challenges in the past or are currently working on the same type of initiative. So we share the contact information, and it's always possible for you also to look at completion report from previous initiative to learn about the challenges that have been overcome by different municipalities and how they've gone about delivering on those projects. 2 specific peer learning groups that I want to discuss with you today. The first one is the Leadership in Brownfield Renewal Program, or the LIBRE for its short acronym. It aims to connect municipal brownfield practitioners or people that work within contaminated site issues from across the country and help them develop the skills and the knowledge they need to facilitate redevelopment of contaminated sites. all municipalities across Canada have at least one or multiple contaminated site, that former gas station that is closed or that former industrial land that now sits derelict. It's free to join, and it's aimed at all municipalities depending on their level of knowledge regarding brownfields. So all of them are more than welcome, and they grow together and learn from each other's challenges. It's also based on the most successful practices that we've seen across the country. So we have numerous guidebooks that are based on the most innovative approach, and from the Canadian municipalities that really have managed to build some momentum on the brownfield issue. And it also aims to help municipality engage with the private sector, because a lot of those development projects are driven by the private sector. So the easier it is to engage them at a municipal level, the more brownfield momentum you can build as part of your project and as a city. The second peer learning group that I wanted to highlight with you today is the LAMP program, so the Leadership and Asset Management. It's also an ongoing program where municipalities learn from each other as part of a working group, and it helps municipality integrate sustainability goals with stronger asset management. As I mentioned to you a little bit earlier, we do have our Sustainable Community Conference coming up next week. So if any of you have some air miles that are just about to expire, it might be a great investment. It's a fantastic networking opportunities where all stakeholder in sustainable development will be present. So elected official, city staff, consultants, as well as service providers that are dealing within sustainable community development. So it's a 3-day conference. There's a whole day of training, and we do have a very popular training where we have very brave municipal practitioners that come forward and talk about their failure. So it's called Failing Forward. So those really brave representatives come and talk about projects that really did not unfold as they had expected, but people can learn from those lessons that can be derived from projects that really didn't deliver as was expected, I guess. So I hope to see most of you there and welcome you in Ottawa. We do have very similar weather as you've had here, so there's no winter there either. So you can't really escape Regina winter or Saskatchewan winter at this point. We also help municipalities build their business case. So we have numerous trainings, tools, and resources available as part of the Green Municipal Fund that are available for free on our website. For example, we have very specific webinars. As an example of those, lately we had one about the PS 3260. So it's the liability standard that comes with contaminated property that has now trickled down all the way to the municipal level, where a municipality needs to put on their book the liability associated with contaminated sites. So sometimes they drill down to a very specific subject that address some of our member and Canadian municipalities' concern. We also have numerous online trainings that are available for free, and guidebooks as well, as I mentioned. So those are based on best practices that we've seen across the country. We offer financing for planned studies and pilot projects. I will discuss that in further details a little bit later on within the presentation. And there's also lately a big emphasis on life cycle analysis. So really accounting for the full impact of a given project, not just building that particular project, operating it, maintaining it, and decommissioning of that particular project. So it's a more holistic approach. So there's lots of tools addressing a lot of those challenges on our website. Again, we do offer a capital loan for different sectors of financing, and I'll discuss those in a little bit further detail, and make sure to wake up anyone that might have fallen asleep at this point, because this is the one slide probably that you'll need to pay close attention to. I want to provide you with a bit of an overview of the impact that the Green Municipal Fund had. Since inception, the Green Municipal Fund has funded more than 1,000 initiatives in 500 communities across the country. So what I'm wondering is your community one of them? And if not, when do you plan to join this well-regarded group? I also wanted to provide you with an overview of the portfolio of the Green Municipal Fund. Part of how we create value for Canada really is by being good fund manager. So the Federation of Canadian Municipalities continue to effectively steward the $500 million that we were provided about 15 years ago at this point. And I'd like to highlight that we've done that in a very challenging market environment, especially if we consider the very low interest rate that are currently prevailing. At the close of last fiscal year, the value of the fund was $596 million, and the total amount of approved investment in municipal initiative since inception was $706 million. So in other words, we have grown the money that was allocated to us. The amount of GMF grant and loan is 40% higher than the total original allocation by the Government of Canada. So our funding offer is comprehensive. I won't say complicated, but there's multiple fields and multiple sectors for which we provide financing. So I'll try to break it down in very easy envelope or blocks to understand. So For plans, feasibility study, and pilot project, that would be the first envelope that we're going to discuss. There's $5 million that's set aside annually to provide funding for those types of projects. So the funding is provided through a grant that cover up to 50% of the cost. So there's 3 types of plans that the Green Municipal Fund can provide funding for. The first one would be greenhouse gas reduction plans. So I don't think I need to provide further detail on those types of plans. There's sustainable neighborhood action plans. So that's an actionable plan that look at the 4 sectors of sustainable development and provide some objectives and guidelines and help direct the type of development that will occur on that property. And there's also brownfield action plan. So a brownfield action plan is a plan on municipal level that identifies priority sites, the type of stakeholders that will be engaged, and the type of economic leverage that a municipality wants to put in place to build that brownfield momentum that we've talked about. There's also funding available for feasibility study. Again, it's a grant that covers 50% of the costs, up to a maximum of $175K. So a feasibility study really examines the requirements and the outcome of a specific project leading to a recommended course of action. So really it's quantifying that triple bottom line. So by completing that feasibility study, then you have those numbers in hand to convince council or other people in the municipality of the benefit of the proposed initiative. Pilot projects are somewhat similar to feasibility study. Again, it's a grant of 50%, but the maximum amount is up to $350K that can be covered through the grant. The amount is a little bit higher because as part of a pilot project, we expect there's going to be some kind of infrastructure that will be built on a smaller scale. A pilot project, really, the aspect of scalability and replicability are important. So we expect you to build something on a smaller scale and then scale it up for the remainder of the site or for other properties within a given municipality. The second envelope I wanted to discuss with you is for capital projects, so the one that we find right here. So there's $30 million that is set aside annually for those projects. So they are within the energy, transportation, waste, and water category. The money is provided through a competitive process. So we have 2 deadlines every fiscal year, and the initiatives that we receive are comparing among each other to determine where funding will be allocated. Up to 80% of a project cost can be covered. And within the competitive capital project, we also provide a grant that will cover up to 15% of the loan cost. So they come together as a package. And the maximum loan amount is set at $5 million. For a $5 million project loan, there would be an accompanying grant of $750K that would come with that as well. For a very exceptional project, we can provide loans up to $10 million. And again, there would be the associated grant that would come with that. And finally, the very last envelope that we have are for capital project within the brownfield sectors. Again, they cover up to 80% of the project cost, but there's no grant associated with that. That's stipulated within the funding agreement, so that's the framework with which we have to work as part of the Green Municipal Fund. The funding for the capital project in the brownfield sector is provided through a non-competitive process, so therefore applications are accepted throughout the year. I also wanted to discuss the interest rate term as well. So for the capital project and the competitive streams, when you take into account the grant that's provided, so the effective interest rate for a 10-year fixed term is 0%, and for a 20-year fixed term, it's 2.29%. So within the brownfield sector, since there's no grant provided, the effective rate for 10 year is 1.7% and 2.45% for a 20-year fixed term. Again, that's the funding that's available for the municipalities. And I want to spend a bit more time discussing the specific type of project within different sectors that we've discussed, so you have a better idea of the type of project that can be funded as part of the Green Municipal Fund. So within the brownfield sector, the overall aim of that funding is to bring into productive use, underuse, contaminated sites, and to prevent building on greenfield sites. So greenfield would be a natural site or an agricultural land where there was no commercial or industrial activity in the past. 3 types of project that can be funded within the brownfield envelope: a remediation project, so taking charge of the contamination of the site, so a dig and dump would be applicable, or putting together risk management measures to deal with the contamination, whether it be capping or other geotechnical approach. We also provide funding for redevelopment, so actual building and infrastructure on a contaminated sites, or formerly contaminated sites, I should say. And Brightfield project. So Brightfield project is the production of green energy, and that could be funded for a site that has been remediated or a non-remediated site, so a site that remains contaminated. Within the energy sector, the overall use or goal is to reduce energy consumption of a given project. So Type of project that could come under the energy category are retrofit of buildings, so making a building more energy efficient, changing the envelope or some of the mechanical structure of that particular building. We can also fund new building. However, we ask that the new building needs to aim to reach net zero. So a net zero building is a building that produces as much energy as it uses for its own purposes. And finally, we also provide funding for district energy. So that's the example of the Richard project in Manitoba that we've seen a little bit earlier. Within the transportation sector, the goal also is to reduce the energy consumption or the greenhouse gas emission. So 2 types of project are eligible. One of them is called modal shift, so a project that demonstrates that it's possible to move away from single occupancy vehicle. And the second type of project is reduction in greenhouse gas or fossil fuel consumption from the municipal fleet. Within the water sector or waste sector, it's all about reduction of the amount of material that makes its way into a municipal landfill, or a municipality can target a specific waste stream of interest. For example, I'm just giving this out there, but polystyrene, for example, a municipality could decide to focus on that one specifically. Within the water sector, there's quite a few types of projects can be funded. So projects that aim at reducing potable water consumption, projects that look at stormwater management, as we saw with the Granby example in Quebec, or wastewater treatment plants, as we saw with the example in Yorkton, Saskatchewan. I'd also like to mention that each of those categories have eligibility criteria in terms of environmental threshold they must meet. So for a given project or site or building, there's an environmental threshold. There's also a community threshold. So if you're addressing some of those issues on multiple property or multiple sites, then those thresholds are a little bit lower and easier to meet, given that it's more challenging to do it on multiple property or building. Now, at this point, most of you are probably wondering, well, who's eligible for that fantastic funding? And it's a great question. Well, municipalities obviously are eligible for that type of funding, but they're partners as well. So that means that it doesn't need to be a fully municipally led project. So if it's a private enterprise that comes forward with a given project and it is in the interest of a municipality to see that project being completed within its municipality, then if the municipality participate in that initiative, then it's possible for us to provide those loans and grant to the private sector as well. A really rough rule of thumb that we're asking is that the municipality contribute 10% to the overall project cost, but there's other type of financial arrangement that can be done. So it could be tax incentives, redevelopment charge waiver, and things of those nature to demonstrate that there is indeed a municipal partnership in place. And it can be really a case-by-case analysis. If we're not sure if there is that partnership that's in place, then we'll simply go to our legal counsel internally and ask, is that a good demonstration of a municipal partnership? What we're trying to avoid is that in the past we've had private sector applicants, oh yes, the municipality is on board, and they show us a letter, and in the end the municipality is no longer aware of what's going on. So we're trying to prevent something like that to occur again. What we ask really is that the municipality has a skin in the game as part of the initiative. So GMF is quite proud of offering the lowest interest rate compared to what's available on the markets. And our rates are fixed for the term of the loan as well. So you know what you're getting into ahead of the time. We also have no fees for setting up the loans, and no setup fee for any of the other financial tools that we have as part of the Green Municipal Fund. We also continually survey the market to make sure that our rate remain as competitive as they can be, and that we are aware of any sudden changes that might occur. Our bottom line really at the Green Municipal Fund is, one, to provide the services to our members and Canadian municipality, and the second one is to keep the fund sustainable, so we can provide the grants and the loan on a yearly basis, and that's why we can provide those really competitive interest rate in the end. It's not about the economic bottom line, it's keeping it afloat and providing those services. There's also funding for the municipal partners I've discussed with you. So the way it works is that we help municipalities reach their strategic goal by providing funding for their partners for capital project and brownfield redevelopment project as well. So the GMF funding really reduces the interest cost for promoters and increases the project sustainability. Often that saving cost can translate into even greener initiative. But what it can also do, for example, if you're talking about a contaminated sites, is if the promoter can get a low interest loan to handle the contamination for the remediation, then it can focus most of their efforts and money on the actual redevelopment, where they tend to make a lot of profit. So it makes those projects that much more viable. We also fund the promoters directly, and therefore we release the municipality of any financial responsibility toward the loan. And if project sustainability is an issue, then we'll talk directly with the promoter as well as the municipality to find viable solution. The Green Municipal Fund can also use various types of securities depending on the particular of each project, and the disbursement and repayment terms are set accordingly. This is my one slide where I try to sum up everything that I've discussed with you today. Obviously, the grants that cover 50% of the costs are quite attractive for the plan, feasibility study, and pilot projects, so I don't feel like I need to say much more about those. We offer very competitive rates, as I've mentioned, on the loans that are available through the Green Municipal Fund. We also offer flexible disbursement, so it's possible for you to set aside when you start your project when you would like to get reimbursement, so you can plan it within your project scope and how your project is going to unfold. Our funding is also stackable, so that means if you have other sources of funding, whether it be provincial or federal, then GMF can still be an ally on your proposed project or initiative. We also offer great free publicity. So once a project is completed, a completion report is written, and it provides a really good window for municipalities and all the stakeholders involved in the project to share the knowledge from it, the challenges that have been overcome, and the benefit of those particular initiative. And finally, you deal with I'd say personalized service, but really passionate people at all levels within the organization, whether it's finance, legal, contract, or people like me in outreach. We really care about what we do, and it's much more than just the economic bottom line. We really want your initiative to work and be a success, and inspire other municipalities through the work that you're doing, and be inspired by what other municipalities are doing. So it's a bit of a snowballing effect we hope to be able to create. Thank you very much for your time and attention today. And as I said, I've left quite a bit of time for questions, so I hope you have lots for me. And if I don't have time to answer a particular question, then please come and see me and discuss about your particular project you might have in mind and see how we could collaborate together. Thank you.
Dennis Moore, Councillor of Estevan. In some cases, when a business has been up for sale and through the arrangement, they find out that the land is contaminated, so the sale drops off. Would this be a good area for people to get some assistance to help clean that piece of property up?
Certainly, yes. So depending on who will incur the costs, I guess, if the municipality wanted to get more information in terms of the environmental contamination, the extent and nature of that contamination, that would be done through a phase 2 environmental site assessment, for example, then we could provide a grant up to 50% of the cost to complete that type of work. And so following that, you would get a much better idea of the volume of contamination that needs to be addressed. And so the unknown with that particular site then becomes much more manageable, and that site can become more attractive than for the private sector to delve up on it.
Okay, so in this case, the sale was canceled, and we may well, as a city, end up with that particular piece of property. So the same would apply then if the city ended up with it? We could.
That's correct. So as the city, if the city was interested, you could do the environmental assessment, so determine the extent of the contamination, and then be possible for you to come for a low interest loan to remediate that property if that was of interest. So then after that, you'd be able to sell a clean property to private developers. Or if you find a private developer that's willing to do some of the remediation, then it'd be possible for us to fund that as well, as long as municipality is on board with that remediation.
That's very good news. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're very welcome. And I also wanted to mention at the end as well, it'd be possible for us to fund some of the redevelopment as well. And so as part of the remediation of that property, you could also do some minor site servicing. So installing roads, underground infrastructure, electricity, everything that makes the site that much more redevelopment ready at that point. So all of that could be falling under the remediation loan. Thank you for your question.